All right, thank you. Here, the program still this morning on ITV. I told you that we're going to be looking at the NARD strike. That's the National Association of Resident Doctors in Nigeria. Now, if you recall, it's like for the third time in 90 days now. I remember when we had issues of COVID-19, when it was still on, we had Dr. Uwa Higegba, that's the former president of National Association of Resident Doctors, UBTH branch. He came here to shed light on some of the issues that were ongoing then. The leadership at the UBTH NARD has changed now. We have a new president there, Dr. Ifeanyi Ufuani. He's here with us here on the program this morning on ITV. Doctor, you're welcome. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you guys said that by end of work today, which is 31st, if the key points agenda that you guys are soliciting for, if they are not met by the federal government, you'll be going on strike.
Yes.
So the implication of that is that by tomorrow you'll be on strike. If
tomorrow 8 a.m.
8 a.m. the strike commences. Yeah. But let's take our minds back to 3 months ago. That's about 90 days ago when we had similar situation. You suspended our strike because you reached a kind of a truce with the federal government now, and it was said that talks will continue while you guys go back to work. So the implication of that is that the talk is still ongoing. So why threatening to go on strike again?
Well, at that meeting, we gave them a timeline which expires at the end of working hours today, and we haven't seen much commitment from the part of government. That is why we are proceeding our strike tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So what they usually do is that they will promise you. They will start off with something, and then when you call off the strike action, they suspend every negotiation till the next action is called.
Okay. Now, we have various things that you guys are soliciting for here. Immediate payments of all old salaries to house officers, including March salary. So you mean you've not been paid for March?
Well, the house officers for most centers haven't been paid from December last year. Which is about 4 months' salary now that has been owed to most of the centers. Now, UBTH, because of the proactive nature of the government in charge, the CMD, and also their local chapter, the Association of Resident Doctors, we acted fast to make sure that these issues would not affect us. So UBTH is spared from this issue, but about 38 centers nationwide have these challenges. And then over the last 2 days, government started trying to pay, but they're paying in bits, which is still not in keeping with their promises they made to us a week ago.
Okay, now let's just go through some other things that you guys are asking for. Unpaid review of current hazards allowance to 50% of the consolidated basic salary of all health workers, and payment of all COVID-19 inducement allowance. Yeah,
okay.
Please do.
For the hazard allowance, it's sad that in a pandemic, the price for my services or for any difficulties I may face during this pandemic is 5,000 naira. This is the poorest compared to any other country in the world. And for this, in this same country, the legislators are earning about 1.2 million for the same hazards. And I don't think they get to see COVID-19 patients. In UBTH alone, about 100 doctors have been infected. Many of them had to fight for their lives in the ICU. Okay, and 5,000 naira doesn't pay the bills for anything. It doesn't. It cannot even help you get augmentin and the supplements you need. So it's a sorry state. And what we're asking for, not just for doctors, for every health worker in the system, we need to review this. It's changed less than $10. You understand?
All right, but doctor, I'm not a doctor, but I do know that you took an oath of office.
Okay.
Now, which you're supposed to owe an allegiance to the life that you save.
I like to correct that.
Yeah.
The lives of the citizen are in the hands of the government, not the doctors. Now, we swore an oath, and the physician's oath says that I will take care of myself first, because you can't help others when you haven't taken care of yourself. Okay? I can't take my Hippocratic oath or physician's oath to the market to buy Gary. It doesn't do that. So the government's responsibility is to take care of us and every citizen. And then when we are okay, we can help patients. So our oath doesn't say offer free service. No. A lot of people get that wrong. It's a job, and every worker deserves his wage. So we're just asking for that. We're not asking for pay us ₦1 million. No, pay us our wages, what we deserve, what we worked for.
Okay. Now, this strike that you're about to embark upon now, it seems to the federal government, it seems like a surprise because for them, the information we are getting is that you guys did not this time kind of give a warning strike, you know, despite the fact that I said earlier on that as at the last time you guys called off your strike. The agreement was that talks will continue while you guys go back to work. But for you to now say that by the end of today, if no fruitful response comes from the federal government, by tomorrow you're on strike.
Well, everything comes as a surprise to the government. The fuel increase came as a surprise to government. We have an irresponsible government.
No, you can't say so, Dr. Fwane. You can't say we have an irresponsible.
Well, because
I beg you to take that.
I won't take it back.
No, you take it back.
The life of the citizen.
Dr. Ifa, you have to take
is
that
the
back.
Responsibility.
Yeah, but you
of
cannot.
The citizens.
Yeah, Dr. Ifa,
so
you cannot
if
say.
you do not negotiate enough to make sure that the citizens' lives are protected, it's their responsibility, and they're not. So let me rephrase my English.
Okay.
They are not taking their responsibility seriously. Will you prefer that? Because you say they say they are not aware. We have had to call off 2 strikes, 2 warning strikes, and have given them 31st as the deadline. So you can't say they're not aware. You understand? We called on 27th of January, it was called off before it started. On the 8th of March, it was called off before it started, with promises that within 1 week all your demands will be met. But till today, we are still in the same place we were 9 months ago. We should recall that these agreements were reached April last year when the pandemic started, and they were promised to review all these things, and at every point they have gone back on their promises. So it shouldn't come as a surprise to them, and really nobody really wants this strike. If they meet all our demands, we want to go on the strike.
Is there a government that can actually meet all the demands of workers?
Well, if the demands have been going back, if you look at some of them, domestication of the MRT has been going back as far back as 2017. We have unpaid salaries dating back as far back as 2014. They are not things that we woke up one day and said, let us do. No. These are issues which have been there for up to 10 years. So it's not about waking up one day. It's about doing the needful at every point in time. This hazard deal was struck in I think, June last year. Until today, it is yet to materialize. So it's not just waking up one day. We have given them ample time to negotiate, to review. It's sad to say that up to today, no negotiation has been made in respect to the hazard, which was their own idea. Last year when the pandemic started, they decided to pay what you call COVID allowance, okay? And that was, the agreement was for 6 months. At the end of the 3rd month, the government came to us and said, we don't have money. Let us review the hazard instead, rather than paying this bonus. We agreed. And for 9 months, we have been patient. Till date, it's yet to materialize.
Well, this same hazard you're talking about now, because some persons will say that the same doctors asking for payment of COVID-19 hazards allowance and all that, the same doctors are rejecting, the vaccination.
Well, I've been vaccinated. I don't know about doctors rejecting vaccination. I've been vaccinated. Most of the doctors in my hospital have been vaccinated, so I don't really know about that. And it's not a COVID-19 hazard. It is a hazard allowance.
But why did it come up during the COVID-19?
It was just a negotiation to review the price. It had been 5,000 for as long as I remember, right?
5,000
naira.
Monthly?
Monthly, as a hazard, meaning for any injury you sustain during your work, the money you are going to be paid is 5,000 naira. We are exposed to Lassa fever, we are exposed to HIV, we are exposed to COVID-19. And you and I both know that 5,000 naira cannot really help in any of these things. The price of augmentin, it's by the time you buy maybe a packet or 2, the 5,000 naira is exhausted already. So we need a state where when we get these diseases during our line of work, we will be able to afford the treatment. It's also noted that a lot of health workers have died during this pandemic, and as well as other pandemics, where we have Lassa fever that has killed a lot of doctors. I think last year about 27 doctors died from Lassa fever, and there's no there's no life insurance for these doctors. So when they die, and most of them are the breadwinners of their families, when they die, it's so long for their families.
So as it stands now, what is the status quo now? Because I was going through a piece a while ago. I saw where your president, Uyu Lawa Ohwahe Soyi, and your secretary, Isogun Jerry, actually signing the communique that at the end of today, if nothing comes from government, that you guys will go on strike. So what is the response from the side of government?
Yeah, it's been abysmal. They tried by responding to attend to just one of the demands, paying the house officers, and then they are some centers are getting about 40%, some 80%. I mean, that's not good enough. A worker deserves his wages. Just pay these doctors their salaries. Some of them are the breadwinners of their family. So imagine for 4 months, you not being able to afford what you need, your basic amenities. It's a sad state.
But are you guys kind of concerned about the implication of this actually about to embark?
What is the implication? I would like to know the implication.
You're asking me?
Yeah, but what do you mean by the implication? I don't know what you mean. It may be us, maybe doctors being able to maybe sleep. Is that the implication?
No. I'm talking about the lives that are at threat.
Like I said earlier, the lives of the citizen is responsible of the government. It's a responsibility of the government. So it's the government who should be asking this, not us. We are just employees.
Okay. Now, there's this other demand that talks about the differential in payments. You know, when did...
Differential in payments?
Yeah, differential in payments. I got that. Now, did the government ever reach an agreement with you guys? A differential in payments in from 2014
yes.
to 2015, okay. 2016 and all
what
that?
What that's all about is that our salaries were increased at some point in 2014. And it took the government about 6 years, or from 4 years, to start paying the new agreed salary. So what we're asking for is the arrears from those years should be paid to our members. I mean, imagine if you earn 1,000 naira, and for 4 years they're paying you 600 naira. I mean, the 400 naira is yours. I shouldn't have to negotiate for that. Do you understand? So we're not asking for an increase. We're asking, pay the difference in which you owe us.
Okay, was that agreement reached as at when they started paying that increment?
It was reached at 2014, and they started paying 2018. So within those 4 years, we were short paid, basically.
But don't you also think that the government needed time on their side? I mean, for them to start effecting...
I can't speak for the government, really. Yeah. I don't know what they need and what they don't need. I don't work in the Ministry of Finance. But what we know is that when you agree, or before you agree, you should be able to meet your
what I'm simply saying is that if an employer, you know, agrees with the employee that, look, I'm going to increase your salary, it's a legal issue. It's not something you just stumble upon and start doing. Now, the time comes that the employer starts paying the increased salary. Now, that agreement that you reached then, was it reached that, okay, all these times that you didn't pay, that you pay?
Oh, the agreement was that they will start paying in 2014.
Okay.
So they are the ones who did not meet up the agreement. I don't think in any other clime that you hear that you have to be paid a certain amount and you'll be short paid. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world.
Okay, we also have the demand that talks about payments of deaths in service insurance for all health workers who died as a result of the COVID-19.
Not just COVID-19, also Lassa fever and other illnesses that they may contract during their line of service.
Okay, then we'll have a proper funding of residency training in the country as stipulated by the Act.
Yes.
Okay.
We reached an agreement in 2017, and then at every point, the government is supposed to provide funds for training, provide funds for equipment and other services needed. But I mean, if you enter the hospitals now, you see the sorry state of the available resources there.
Of some of the hospitals.
I don't know any hospital that meets the international standard that we had agreed on. I don't know any hospital. UBT really, we try. The government here has found other ways of helping. So we can't use UBTH as a standard for every other hospital. And UBTH is not even where it should be as a tertiary center.
Okay, I think I'll have to let you go because of work now, and we'll just pray that, I mean, we still have time. You said before the end of today.
We agreed to midnight today, so if the government does what they need to do, I don't think any doctor wants to abandon his patients and go on a strike. Okay. It's what we do, it's what we love to do, it's what we're used to doing. You understand?
So if nothing happens between now and midnight, tomorrow you're on strike?
Yes, that's the sad state. It's going to be a very difficult decision, but we have to do it.
But are you guys going to be providing some of maybe kind of you know, what's it called now, additional services to you know, take care of those that maybe need some form of intensive?
We should also remember that this is just government hospitals. There are private hospitals that are not on strike. There are state hospitals that are not on strike.
Is that why you want to go on strike? Because
that's not why. Why we want to go on strike is to make sure that when patients come into the hospital, they get the best possible care in the center. You don't have to go out to Nigeria to get the services you require. You should be able to have it here. That's what we want. You can realize that you notice that now doctors are leaving Nigeria in large numbers. This is because when you go out to this country, you get better treatment. You're able to practice medicine the way you want to practice it. So we want that in Nigeria. Many of us in Nigeria don't want to leave. If all these things are available, why would I leave my family, leave my parents, and travel to a distant country where I'm a second-class citizen at best? Okay. So if we have everything we need, fine.
All right, so we just pray that it doesn't come to that you go to strike, you go on strike tomorrow eventually. Yeah. And in case if you should please try to make arrangements for quasi services. You know, I asked about the implication because I know what it is when doctors go on strike. Yeah. More so that you're talking about the resident doctors. Yeah. You know, to get those consultants and all that is not an easy thing at all.
Well, I think the consultants are there. I'm a surgeon, and then my consultants are at work with me every day. We operate together, they train us, so the consultants are there. Just that the resident doctors make up about 7% of the workforce. So that's a large number to pull out. Okay. Yeah. So that's why it's a challenge. But however, if government does its requirement, it meets our demands, we won't go on strike.
Okay. All right, we've said that, so let's keep our fingers crossed and see what happens before the end of today. We hope that the federal government should be able to you know, meet something with you guys so that by tomorrow work continues. I've been speaking with Dr. Ifeanyi Ufuani, who is the president of NARD. That's National Association of Resident Doctors, UBTH branch, talking about some key points, you know, demands that have been on for about 90 days now. And if by end of today nothing comes from government, if government does not meet those demands by tomorrow, they will be going on strike. Thank you so much for finding time to come on the program. Well, we'll take a short pause now for other segments of this program. Please stay tuned.